What you are listening to is real. The participants are not actors. They are actual litigants with a case pending in the squared circle. Both parties have agreed to dismiss their cases and have their disputes settled here in our forum, the Turnbuckle Debate.
Hey everyone, welcome back to the Turnbuckle Debate. My name is Sneed.
I'm Chad.
I'm Colton.
And our guest joining us today, that wrestling dude from Instagram, Weso. What's going on, man? How are you?
What's going on, fellas? Thanks for having me.
Absolutely, man. We're stoked to have you, dude. I love your page. You put at that wrestling dude, DOOD, guys. Go check out. One of the has some of the best clips on Instagram. Love the shit he posts. How long have you been doing it, man? And like, what got you started posting stuff on IG?
So this must have been a year before COVID. My wife was pregnant with the third kid. Can't really go out and party much when you have three kids. So started watching ECW. It actually just came on the network. The whole from '93 when they're doing the stuff in the bar with the Super Destroyers. Yeah. Started watching, saw Sandman come out in that surfer with the wetsuit, the surfboard. I was like, I guarantee not a lot of people have seen this. Couldn't really post it on my personal one because my friends still make fun of me for watching wrestling. So started a page, started as ECW Throwback, and it kind of just morphed into that wrestler dude, a little bit of everything.
Dude, it's awesome because there's a ton, we post clips on our page, old clips from stuff, but and there's people that do it, but your page, the thing I loved about it is you were finding shit. You see a lot of the same clips on social media, but you were posting stuff that I was like, wow, I have not thought of this moment since I was a kid. You don't see your clips as much. So you're sifting through and you're getting those deep cuts, man.
Hey, it's 30 plus years of watching wrestling, man.
That's awesome.
Hell yeah.
Well, that's awesome, man. We're super stoked to have you. What we'll do, we're going to do a little debating. We have 3 topics that we'll debate, 10, 15 minutes per topic. The topic that you brought will go in the middle, so we'll defer to you to go first on that one. But if you guys are ready, I say we get into it.
Let's do it.
All right. First topic of the evening is Tony Khan unifying titles and dissolving Ring of Honor.
I'll jump on this. Is he actively doing it right now? Are we going to see this happening soon? Maybe not soon. I don't think it's something. Maybe I'm just kind of reading the tea leaves and seeing what's going on. But I just find it really odd now that over the last, I would say since All In, we've seen so much Ring of Honor being pulled up. And I know this was going on when he first bought the company. He was bringing in little storylines. But when you have Shane Taylor Promotions in a segment where Shane Taylor's bringing out Lee Moriarty as a new member, when you're having little stories like that pop up on your TV, plus you're giving the Bucks and Hangman the 6-man titles in ROH, that makes me think maybe we're leaning into unifying the trios titles in AEW with these. And then you've got Joe holding a belt. You've got Adam Cole and MJF holding the tag title. I don't know. It just seems like there's a lot of he's moving and shaping things like something's about to happen. I don't know if I'm looking too deep into it. I don't know if this is just them trying to fill 4 hours of TV now, but I think there will come a time where I think he's going to combine a lot of these belts. I don't know if he'll get rid of Ring of Honor, but I do think a lot of these belts are going to be absorbed in some form or fashion soon.
Yeah, I don't know, man. I kind of feel the same way. I mean, we are getting, you make a great point with Shane Taylor because, you see the bigger names on there. And of course you want to have bigger names have titles to put eyes on it. But But then you do have Shane Taylor showing up. So is this something that they're going, with this deal with Max or what the streaming service that they go on? Are you trying to get eyes on Ring of Honor? So when that happens, that Ring of Honor, wherever it decides to live, if it lives on the streaming service, is it going to get eyes on it? And is it just going to live there? It seems like that's what's going to happen. And I agree with you, Chad. I don't think it's going to be now, but especially the Trios Championship, I think that'll definitely be unified and dissolved.
Yeah, it's kind of hard to say, man. I mean, I've got a lot of opinions on this because Ace and I spent a long time covering this new era of Honor from Tony Khan, which, although there's some great wrestling on it, man, there's not a whole lot of story necessarily on that weekly TV program you see on Honor Club. It's kind of can be a chore to get through 2 hours of that show at times. Speaking from experience, I don't think the titles are getting dissolved anytime soon. I'm more inclined to think. I mean, I would love to see the trios titles get unified with the 6-man. I think that would be an ideal move. But they just put the Ring of Honor World title on Eddie, and that's been a long time coming. So, I mean, I don't see any titles necessarily. I honestly see Honor Club sticking around, whether that gets, piggybacked onto the Max platform, just for the back catalog alone. That's not going anywhere. I'm more inclined to think that we keep most of the belts and he dissolves Ring of Honor Weekly TV, and we just keep seeing the belts on AEW TV like we have been now. I mean, I know that they are being featured week to week on Ring of Honor programming, but they're getting a lot more prominent. I mean, with, like you said, with, Better Than You Baby being tag champions, you've had the Righteous coming up. And I mean, that's a week to week mid card storyline now leading into Wrestle Dream is the Righteous versus MJF and Adam Cole. I think we're just going to see a little bit more of the Ring of Honor belts on AEW TV, man. I don't understand. It's not a sustainable model to keep taping Ring of Honor every single week after Dynamite, especially when you're taping Rampage as well and you're doing another live program in Collision. I don't know what the numbers are. I haven't seen them, but I can't imagine the viewership for the Ring of Honor weekly TV show at this point is very good. I'll be honest. I've lit my Honor Club subscription lapse, and I when it first came on, I was super fucking stoked about it. I signed up for it immediately. Like, don't get me wrong, man, before we had the weekly TV, the Ring of Honor pay-per-views that we've seen since Tony bought it has been some of the best wrestling in the last 2 years. I mean, we just Briscoes versus FTR 1, 2, and 3 speak enough for themselves in my book. But I'm more inclined to think that we might see a couple of belts get unified, but I don't think they're all getting unified, because I think the Ring of Honor TV title's got a place on TV. I think the Ring of Honor World Heavyweight title's got a place with Eddie for a long time. And the Pure title is so unique, I don't really want to see it go anywhere, even if that means it's just defended week to week on Collision or Dynamite or both. I want to see that stick around. I don't think there's room enough for two belts, for two 3-man team belts. I think that needs to get tied up sooner than later. So if we do this like in a tiered system, that's my first pick to get unified.
Yes, I don't think he's unifying anything. I think he's just trying to build up ROH as big of his brand as you can, especially with the HBO thing. You see what's going on with Writers Guild, Actor Strike. Content is king right now. The more content you're able to give, the more money you're going to be able to make in the long run. So I think he's just hyping up Ring of Honor. So when they go on to HBO, he just has more and more and more shows to put on, more and more revenue coming into his pockets.
It's a good point, man. I didn't think about that with the writer's strike. Now would definitely not be the time. Even if viewership is low on the week to week Ring of Honor, I mean, why would you get rid of content at this point if you have non-union people writing and producing this show every week?
And you're right. I mean, when you have a library with so much historic stuff in it, I mean, there's a lot of Kevin Owens when he was Kevin Steen. There's a lot of Tyler Black when Seth Rollins was doing that. There's a lot of good classic ROH history that you have. Why just have the throwback video tab on your Max to go back and watch the old ROH? Keep current stuff too. you guys are probably right. I'm probably just jumping the gun and trying to predict the future off of like a couple weird moves that are happening. The one thing that, do you feel like there's too many belts on AEW programming? The fact that they are bringing in Ring of Honor titles, and I'm with you, Colton. The pure title is so unique. I don't want to see it go anywhere. And I feel like the world title has so much history. Even the TV title has so much history. The tag titles have so much history. It would be a shame to absorb some of those, but like with all of those titles featuring, and then you have AEW's titles featuring, and then you have like a title like New Japan Strong featuring, are you getting like belt fatigue watching AEW, or are you able to track all the champions and you don't think it's too much?
Not yet. I'm not fatigued just yet. I'm tracking it fine for now. I could definitely see that happening, but I don't know, man. When we have this many belts, maybe we'll make the next Battle of Belts an actual like pay-per-view level feeling show like it's supposed to have been this entire time. I've never watched a Battle of the Belts that felt, like it had any sort of pomp and circumstance to it. It's always kind of been a dud. And I don't know, maybe bringing the Ring of Honor titles to the forefront a little bit could add a little bit to something like that.
Would you guys get any of you guys, if you had to get rid of, say, 3 titles, if you wanted to unify, and this could be AEW titles as well, if you wanted to lower your belt total across your all of your shows, what 3 titles would you get rid of?
Ooh. As far as unifying the two, or just get rid of all as a whole?
Like I'll go. Like if I were to do it, obviously the 6-man titles have a unification match with the trios titles. Yeah. Make it one title. I
get rid of the TNT and the TBS titles. I think it's so tacky looking. It's so cheap looking.
Yeah,
especially if they're going to HBO, right? They're going to be there full time. I mean, what are you going to do with those belts if they go over there?
That's true.
That's true too. Yeah,
that's very true. And I was going to say, like, get rid of the ROH TV title and absorb it into the TNT title or something. Like, I don't know, man. I don't know even about the ROH women's title. Like, do you have a roster, a solid roster? I think Athena is doing some of the best champions work in wrestling right now, but do you have her come over and unify that with the TBS title or something? I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know. I think on my wish list, like the Ring of Honor 6-men are the first titles to go. I like what you said about the fact, but them going to HBO, yeah, that brings up a big thing, because I remember when they first announced the TNT title, I was like, man, I'm not going to like this. And then I fucking came around on it. I love the look of that belt. Especially Christian has it perfectly fucking polished. There are no smudges on it whatsoever when he brings that mirrored back out to the ring every week. I love that belt. I'm also a huge Christian Cage mark. So, I mean, that helps me.
He's doing the best work of his career right now.
I know. I love it. So I've come around on that belt a lot. The TBS belt, I mean, I get it. It's marketing. You got to scratch the back of the people you're in bed with. But I was, and I know we're all speculating at this point because there's nothing official that's come down. I was assuming that going with the HBO deal, that we'd probably still have weekly TV on TBS and TNT, and it was just going to be pay-per-views on Max. So if that's the case, then I would say for me, I would keep the TNT and the TBS since we're going to have a show on each week. But if that goes away, yeah, why in the hell would you keep those if you're Warner Bros. Discovery's taking their ball going home and just going to exclusively to Max? But in a world where we're still going to have TV on TNT and TBS, man, I think I'm definitely going to cut the 6-man Ring of Honor titles.
I think that's the main one. That's the most glaring of it. Yeah.
And then I can't decide. Like, part of me is inclined to cut the women's and the world heavyweight. But then it's like, well, why would we keep the tag team? So I don't know. I maybe would cut all 4 of those. I maybe cut the tag belts, the 6-man, and then I don't know. I mean, I could see it going either way. Probably, maybe the women's then too, especially if we have the TBS involved still. Yeah, cut the women's title. That's it for me.
Is there
Nobody gets-
something? Is there something that they can do to make the content more watchable? Like, I know recording after a Dynamite, like the crowd's dead, which doesn't help anything. But like to make the content more digestible, is there what could they change to do that?
I mean, just making I think making the show shorter, personally, in my opinion. It doesn't need to be 2 hours. There's not enough people at least when I was watching it regularly, the talent pool wasn't like you had some story development, but it was all relatively little. It was pretty much Athena and whoever she was going up against. And then when the Righteous came back on the scene, we drug that shit out, and them pulling Stu Grayson away from Dark Order into their fold was really the only real story development we had after Eddie got on injury and was out of the picture with Claudio. So for a 2-hour show, having 2 to 3 backstage vignettes, only driving 2 stories, and the rest of it is just match after match after match after match. I mean, if that's all you got, I say take it down to an hour. I mean, if Rampage is an hour, why the fuck is Ring of Honor 2 hours? You know what I'm saying? Like I think tamping it down, because like I never will forget, man. There was that weird, I don't know what happened, but there was that weird week where Ring of Honor had a 3-hour show. I think they had to like call an audible on some storylines, and they like combined 2 tapings. It was 19 matches in 3 hours. Dude. I've watched WrestleManias where there was not 19 fucking matches. like it is way too much. Like, and
That's
Ace and I are taking notes to go on air and go play by play with this shit and talk about it afterwards. I'm like, time I get to the hour 3, I'm like, I don't remember what the first 45 minutes even were. If I had been taking notes, I would have no idea what happened. Like,
yeah,
because it's all just match after, and with a lot of it with Ring of Honor, it's just, I don't know. I'm going on a rant with it now. It's just, it took a lot of time from me.
Yeah, I feel like they just need to tell better stories. And if they're telling stories over there, their social media team needs to really ramp up, like pushing these clips and letting us know, hey, this is going on over on our show. You're missing out by not watching it. Like, I feel like that's the only way. Build
a little story on Collision, Dynamite.
Yeah.
I'm leery of that. Like, I want time for the AEW people to tell their stories. ROH needs to up their game on their own show.
Fair enough.
Why watch ROH? Why watch ROH when all the champions are on AEW every week?
Exactly. That's a good point. That's a good point.
And like, honestly, I'm fine with going back to that model, because the pay-per-views we're fine without weekly TV. If we're just going to
you want people to watch ROH, don't let them see Eddie Kingston unless you're watching ROH. Like,
that's a good way to do it.
I mean, I love seeing Eddie on my AEW TV. He's one of my absolute favorites, but if he's your champion, you need to like, hey, to watch Eddie, you got to pay for Honor Club.
Yeah.
All right. Does anybody have any final thoughts on Ring of Honor before we move on?
Nope.
All right. So we'll move on to the second topic of the evening. What wrestler from the past would be the biggest social media star? Now, so this was your question, so I'll defer to you to go first on this. I love this one.
All right. So I was going between 2 people, tossing back and forth. Who would I want to see? Whose videos, promos I watch still to this day? I know this is going to be kind of cheating because the guy's still alive, but I mean, who would you want to see more than the Nature Boy in his prime? I mean, the guy made a living off of being at the Marriott, going to the bar. Could you imagine the videos of him at the Marriott with all the females? Could you imagine the videos coming, all the leaks coming from his room? I think it'd get so bad that the man would have to open up his own OnlyFans account. He'd be on every rap video. He'd be on every sideline of every game. I mean, he'd be even bigger than he is now.
It's so true, man. Could you imagine like the plane ride from hell is told from fucking
like
Ric
live
Flair's
stream?
TikTok?
Oh, man.
Man,
I thought about, I had a couple names popping up. Ric Flair was definitely there. I mean, like, he's got the most iconic. I could just see the video images in my head. I tried to find one that's completely off the beaten path, and this guy's still alive too. I was going to go with Pillman because I think Pillman would be blurring the lines of like kayfabe and and storytelling. I think his social media account would be one of those ones where you didn't know if this was all a part of the show or if this was real life. He'd be pulling on your heartstrings. I was going to go with Pillman, but I went with Jesse the Body Ventura. I mean, could you imagine? We're tapping into his Navy SEAL days when he was a SEAL. Then he goes through he's filming Predator with Arnold. He's on movie set. Then we got him, classic, the big boa around his neck. And then you're going to pick up on the early signs of the conspiracy minded Jesse Ventura. He's going to be like an online Alex Jones. Like, I just think Jesse the Body Ventura would be absolutely insane at the height of his popularity on social media.
That would be that'd be a lot of fun to see too.
Sneed, you want to go next?
Yeah, I'll go. No, it's fine. I'll go. This was fun, man. I started thinking, and I picked two. I picked a wrestler and I picked a personality.
Okay.
The wrestler that I picked was Ultimate Warrior.
Oh God.
Because I think this motherfucker would just be completely unhinged, and it would be so much fun to ride that warrior wave on.
There'd be a lot of workout videos with him.
And just like dungeon. Yeah. And then the personality that I picked, because it would just be so fun, and this person had the absolute best quotes ever, was Bobby the Brain Heenan.
Oh man, yeah.
I would love to have had a social media account with Bobby the Brain Heenan to watch him just roast people.
He would be good. He would be a good meme guy, I bet he'd be good with memes.
Yeah, because his quotes were on point, man. I think one of my favorites was, I can't remember exactly how it went, but what do you have to do to graduate from high school in Nebraska? Milk a cow with your left hand. Little things like that, man.
Man, this was a fun question, man. Thanks for bringing this one up. I was kind of all over the place. I mean, obviously, when you first pitched this question and Chad told it to me, I'm like, well, obviously, we're not counting Iron Sheik, right? Because that guy was by far, in my opinion, the best social media star in history, bar none, outside of pro wrestling, outside of everything. That guy,
he kills it.
I don't know if Twitter would still be around without the Iron Sheik, man. Rest in peace. Like, that shit was absolutely incredible. So I was kind of thinking about it. I'm like, do I, as a wrestler, like as a wrestling personality, or like, in their personal life, or like kind of blurring the lines between the gimmick and being outside of wrestling. But I had quite a few, man, but one that really stuck with me was Mr. Perfect. Because his promo work was killer, man. And I mean, you put that guy in front of a camera and like he delivers every time. He's so cocky, just condescending, and just like the physical feats of strength. I mean, that, spitting the gum and slapping it, man. I mean, like you could start every single like reel with that, and then go on a rant. He would be
one of those kids, the videos that pop up on TikTok of the kids doing the crazy ass trick shots.
Yeah,
he would be that guy, because he could always catch his towel, throw it around his back, catch his towel.
I want you to see if you can see this on my list.
At the top. Oh, that's awesome.
That's a good pick, man.
Yeah, I mean, I was thinking, with the catching of the towel and the slapping of the gum, it's like the bottle flip, man. He's tailor made for viral videos and trends.
Oh yeah.
I mean, imagine like how crazy if you dropped like 70s and 80s territory wrestling. The same rules, the same stories, the same everything that happened that we know happened. But then you throw social media on top of that. Like Jesus. What? I mean, imagine there, people tweeting Bruiser Brody being stabbed in Puerto Rico as covered over social media. You would have so many crazy things happening. You'd have the Freebirds and the Von Erichs taking shots on Twitter at each other. It'd be insane.
Marty Jannetty would have been a fun one in his prime too.
Oh, holy shit. Yeah, I didn't even think about that.
Yeah. Imagine ECW. Imagine just that whole imagine all the fans going to those shows. You know how you get all the fans, shooting the show from your phone. Imagine those crazy ECW moments if every fan in that crowd had their phones.
Yeah.
There's something nice about, obviously, you didn't have phones back then, but if you threw that I feel like things happened back then. It felt like it was happening in its own little bubble and nobody really knew. But if you put it out there to the masses through social media, it would have been crazy.
I mean, it's crazy to go back and watch videos of WrestleMania 4, 5, 6, and you see nobody on a phone.
Right.
I mean, it's just crazy to see that those people were living in that moment and saw it, and we lived it through Coliseum home video. You know, That's it.
Who do you think will get canceled the fastest?
Maybe Flair, man. I don't know.
That's true too. That's true too.
Flair's getting canceled quick.
Yeah, maybe Jesse the Body.
Body wouldn't take very long at all. I was thinking that. I was thinking of a couple of
Hogan.
Hogan would have made it very
Hogan
far.
Would be put on blast. He was hiding his shit for a while. Somebody would have caught him up in his shit early.
Harley Race probably would have gotten in trouble pretty quick.
Bully Ray back in his prime
Ray.
back then in ECW days.
Oh, he cuts one promo in ECW. He's done.
Yeah.
I'm thinking of that Heat Wave. I think that Heat Wave promo he cuts that every now and then will trickle out. That I'm like, how has no one grabbed this and tried to cancel him for it?
You know what would be crazy too is Goldust during that artist formerly known. He was acting super crazy.
Oh, that would have been incredible, man.
yeah.
With the Tourette, didn't he have Tourette's at one point too?
Yeah, he gets
He got zapped. He got electrocuted.
Yeah. I love one of the all-time greatest characters for me is Goldust. I love Goldust.
Yeah, man, Macho Man. Like I'm just there's so many.
Awesome.
Yeah, Macho was good. Macho and Flair would both have to have that would have to be somebody you were paying because they're not going to be able to hold the camera themselves. They're in the moment. They're live. You're paying a handler to walk around with a selfie stick and follow your ass.
And I feel like if you just drop social media down just from the sports standpoint, I feel like it levels the playing field for all the territories. Like if all of the territories had the access to be able to post everything that they got going on social media, all of these Mid-South and world-class championship wrestling, all those Memphis, Lawler down in Memphis doing his thing. I feel like those things could have went viral and who knows what would have happened.
Yep.
Man, what a fun topic, man.
Yeah.
Yeah, this is one of the most fun guest topics we've ever had, man. Nice job.
Appreciate it.
It's those topics that come in that make you, it's like, man, how have we never talked about it?
I know.
150 episodes and we've never talked about who would have been great on social media, But you just think about all these people in their prime, man. Ricky Morton.
And you wonder if they could have even been who they are with social media.
Yeah.
Is the fact that they are who they are is because there was no social media there? Would Flair be Flair if there were cameras around?
Yeah. Flair, I could see a lot of people that might not be, but Flair would 100% still be Flair, no matter what.
Because back then, I feel like they could do their thing and not worry about somebody snapping a photo of them doing this. If they had to worry about that, are we getting those crazy bar stories? I don't know.
On the other side of it too is people like Sonny and Sable. I don't even think they would have been that big if social media was around for them.
Yeah,
you can go online right now. You can find a Sonny every other post.
Very true. Very true. They especially Sonny. Sonny was like 1 in a million at the time.
At the time.
Well, I remember at one point she was the most downloaded person.
Yeah.
That was a big feat back in the AOL days.
Oh, yeah. I was downloading in those days for sure.
Yeah. I think we got caught at Chad's house downloading one time.
Yeah, I'm holding the door. I'm holding the computer room door. Sneed's trying to delete it off of my computer.
On that dial-up.
Oh yeah, the dial-up would take forever. The bar would just be creeping as it downloads.
Hang the phone. Don't pick up the phone.
Don't pick up the phone.
Yeah.
All right, guys. Anybody have any final thoughts on the social media star question?
No, great question though. Crazy to think about.
Especially, and just thinking like the occupational gimmicks back then too. Like if they would have just been in character on there, they've been great.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
All right, guys, we'll move on to the final topic of the evening. Who should AEW and Impact sign from the recent WWE releases? So one for AEW, one for Impact. Who should they sign?
I'll go ahead and go on this one, man. I'm not surprised. I want to echo. I was listening to Wrestling Tonight earlier this week with Chad and Ace, and I'm with you guys, Chad. I wasn't necessarily surprised by any of these releases, but I think, and AEW's got kind of a bloated roster, man. But I think they need to jump on Dolph Ziggler. I mean, I know that Ace was saying that he would end up. I think he could do really well in New Japan. It doesn't mean he can't stop in AEW first. I'm a big Dolph Ziggler fan. I think if we gave that guy an opportunity to do something in a place that was a little bit more driven by the performers instead of the machine, I think we would really like what we would see. So that he would definitely be my pick for AEW. And then for Impact, man, I'm gonna go with Elias. I enjoyed his gimmick in WWE pre-Ezekiel. The Ezekiel shit would have been funny for like a week. It was way too drawn out. It did not need 2 pay-per-views with KO. It was, yeah. And I mean, the guy's got a great look. He's good on the mic. I think he would be a great get for Impact in a different iteration. You could try kind of the same thing, whatever. But I mean, it's no secret to anybody. I'm a huge Impact Wrestling fan. I think Elias would fit right in. I want both promotions to stay as far away from Matt Riddle as humanly possible.
No, yeah. I mean, I agree that AEW needs to stay away from Riddle for sure. They've had enough bad publicity. He's a huge liability, but I think he's a liability that Impact can afford to take a chance on. They haven't been long enough to go under with him. And could you imagine a feud with Josh Alexander, best of 7? You know, a last man standing. I quit. Like he would have incredible matches with that dude.
Yeah.
And then on the AEW side, you know, I thought about Ziggler. I thought about Mustafa Ali. Both 2 great guys. I think they will just get buried with everybody else that's been on there. I really think the guy that Tony Khan should sign is Elias. Here's a guy that you can give a guitar and microphone, give him 10, 15 minutes every show, and he'll deliver for you. It's hard enough to try to book stuff every week. AEW's got, what, 10 hours a week, 9 hours a week to fill? The guy could come in every show and 10, 15 minutes up pop and just put on a good show for him.
Yeah, I'm with you. So like Matt Riddle, AEW, do not touch that man with a 10-foot pole.
Yeah.
But I don't like the dude. I predicted him getting released. Like if you go back, I predicted him.
Yeah.
I knew, man. He's a shit disturber when he wants to be. When he's cool, but he just can't keep getting in his own way.
Yep.
It goes all the way back to his MMA career. But if I'm Impact, I'm bringing 2 potential shit disturbers into my company. I'm bringing in Matt Riddle, and I'm trying to lure in CM Punk, because if you bring those 2, it's giving you nothing but eyes. Yep. It's giving you, and does Impact really clash with a CM Punk? Does Matt? I know he's not a part of these releases, but I just know there's reports. Bully Ray came out and said he wants Punk in Impact, so there's a push for that. Who knows if that'll happen? I don't know if they have the money, but with Matt Riddle, I'm with you, Weso. Like Josh Alexander, the matches they could have, incredible. Him and Moose, you've got a guy with instant mainstream cred. I mean, all the casual WWE fans know who this guy is. Yep. He's definite bait to lure people over to Impact. And everything in ring with Riddle, I like. Like, I don't like his gimmick, like the surfer dude stoner thing. But as far as like when he turns it on in matches, dude, he has barn burner matches.
Yeah.
And the only thing that gets him is his out of the ring stuff. That's the stuff he kind of steps in his own way. With AEW, man, it's tough. Like, there's a part of me that thinks Rick Boogs with the guitar, the over the top, just wild man comedy that he he has would hit with AEW fans. I mean, it's similar to the acclaimed, these kind of larger than life comedy acts. I feel like he could do something. Maybe the guy's shredded, but I'm just going to go the boring standard topic. And I know there's a good possibility this guy's getting buried. I know there's a good possibility he's just getting Matt Hardy, Jeff Hardy status and just comes out every now and then. But if you could tap into him, give him the main event treatment for at least a couple years, like I think he always deserved in WWE, Dolph Ziggler, man, he could be an incredible presence in the locker room. I think a lot of these guys, it would benefit them to be in the ring with a worker like him. I think he's one of the most underrated workers in the business as far as just match quality and selling and all of that. They need people to look up to when it comes to just the in-ring work, how you work as a pro wrestler, how you can get 20 years of wrestling out of your body. I feel like he would be good for them. So I'm a big fan. So I'm going Dolph Ziggler, AEW, and I'm going Riddle for Impact.
Yeah, I really like, I'm going to stick. So Dolph Ziggler to AEW was my pick for AEW side. But I really do like, what you said about Elias. I can see him really making, a big splash in AEW. I think people would absolutely love walking with Elias there,
Yeah.
It was a huge movement in WWE. I never felt like he got, used to his true potential there. And I would like to see him on a stage like AEW. I'm going to stick with my pick of Dolph just because of everything that Chad said. I mean, this guy, look at his resume. I mean, he has it. And I would like to see him in the main event scene. As far as Impact, Rick Boogs all day. Give me Rick Boogs to Impact. Jesus, this guy, I love Boogs.
Boogs, fun. He's fun, man. He's a walking Old Spice commercial. I mean, come on.
Man, I gotta say, I like Chad. I like what you guys both said about Riddle to Impact, and I want to say I'm a big fan of Riddle's in-ring work for sure, and Impact's also done a good job of taking a chance on guys that other promotions don't want to touch and have done pretty well. Exhibit A, Leo Rush, a guy who got bounced around everywhere. And, rumor is he's a hard person to deal with. He's doing really well in Impact right now. But I only have space for one shit stirrer at a time. And I want to give CM Punk a run before I give Riddle a run. And as far as it comes down, I'm not the biggest Punk guy, but I'm more invested in him than I ever have been, given what's gone down the last 6 months. And Chad, you made the comment of, I don't know if they can afford him. Brother, I don't know if anybody else is asking. So he might have to be coming down on that contract request if he's wanting to be on TV anymore. So.
That's true.
That's true. That is very true.
Is there any sleepers in these releases that you think, because it's very easy as a fan, you're instantly going for the guys with the name value. And I think Ziggler, Riddle, and Mustafa Ali are probably the biggest name. I think Mustafa Ali is probably the guy who's going to show up in AEW, and it's going to be hard for him to stand out, but I think he fits the mold. But is there anybody else? I know you guys mentioned Boogs and Elias, but is there anyone we're missing? I know Riddick Moss has been brought up as someone who's you could come in and completely repackage. It's almost like there's untapped talent there that isn't soured by some shitty bad gimmick that no one can let him get away from. He's kind of like just a blank piece of clay that you could mold into something maybe.
Yeah, I mean, he's got a great look. I mean, I thought about him. I mean, his in-ring work's not bad. I just haven't seen a ton of it. That's all there is. They ran him around with Baron Corbin for so long. He didn't get a huge amount of time as a singles in WWE, at least where I watched a ton of it. So, yeah, I mean, I don't know, man. I think he could I kind of want to see him run on the indies for a little while, or maybe not just the indies, but, send him to NWA, send him to MLW. I'm also want to say I'm glad that you guys spoke up for Boogs, because there's been a lot of people dragging Boogs through the mud on social media Like even Dutch Mantel was like, I think you got let go because your work rate sucks. Like, I don't know, man. Like
Dutch man.
Dutch is brutal.
Dutch
dude.
is brutal, which I like. I love Dutch for that, but it's like, goddamn, pal. Like I like Boogs.
I do too.
I was on the Boogs train when he was getting that push, and it looked like he was, probably going to be the one to win the Rumble, and then he got hurt. It was just like one of the worst timed injuries in history, and he just never really recovered from it, man. So, I mean, I think Moss or Boogs could end up well. I mean, I think Boogs, I'd like to see him Boogs in Impact, but I think he would also do equally as well in an NWA. Like, I think that there would be that's a promotion that's needing some fresh blood right now. And I mean, also, Ace brought up a good point, man. I mean, we don't have them listed on here, but like New Japan's kind of in a transitionary period where like all their big stars are kind of getting to retirement age these days. They're still making appearances, but their days of 5-star matches are kind of getting behind them. They're in the twilight of the career. So, I mean, they need some young blood, man. So, I mean, in any of these young guys, I think could do well in New Japan.
Yeah. Fun fact too, Hawk loves Rick Boogs.
Yeah. Another person we're forgetting about who I think could go somewhere and make a big impact, Shelton Benjamin. He's a little long in the tooth. He's been around a minute. But imagine Shelton Benjamin in Blackpool Combat Club.
That could be cool.
Yeah.
That's a guy who brings a lot to the locker room. He's a leader. He was in the class with Cena, Orton, and Lesnar.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
That's crazy.
Yeah, that's a bit. Yeah, I didn't even think about Shelton Benjamin. I think a lot of these guys too, I saw Matt Cardona tweeted out to everybody that was released. He said that this could be the end of your career. It can be the beginning. There's a lot of money to be made on the indies. And I think a lot of these guys will go and raise their rate on the indies, and who knows who, comes out a huge star from the indie, because the indies are hot right now.
I think things like this separate the men from the boys who really wants to be a wrestler and who's in it because you're a WWE superstar. Because going and plying your trade on the indies and busting your ass and having to book shows and book travel and do all of that yourself, that is when it's like, do you want it? Is this what you really want? Or were you just wanting kind of the fame and glitz and glamour of WWE?
Yeah.
It's two totally different worlds for a pro wrestler of grinding on the independent scene and having all of, the perks of being a WWE superstar. That's why I got to give respect to Cardona, because it's crazy the work pace and schedule he puts up. And some of these places he's wrestling, like we have local independents here. It's a far cry from MSG, baby. You're in like high school gymnasiums with a couple hundred people. Like, it's a labor of love to do that shit.
VFW halls with 60 mamals,
Right.
So I had a question for you guys. If Ziggler goes to AEW, is he just coming in as regular Dolphin the last 20 years with the new name, or is he switching it up?
He's got to come in as Nick Nemeth, I think, man. I think he comes in and uses a shoot name.
The same look and same everything? The same look he's had the last 20 years?
He's got to change. He's got to change something. I mean, you don't want to go so drastic where it's like, who's this guy? And it's totally different, but look, demeanor. Honestly, I don't want him there unless they're bringing him in as a big deal. Like if he's just going to be, if he's just going to be a mid-card guy and kind of toil away like some of the people that have came over, I don't want to see it. I'm only wanting to see him come over if he's given the opportunity and the status that we as fans thought he deserved more of in WWE. Because I mean, you heard so many people say this guy could be Shawn Michaels if given the right story and spotlight, as far as just his in-ring work and what the ceiling for him was. And I feel like they would give you little flashes of like, here's a little bit of Dalton, and they'd never fully strap the rocket to him. And I want to see, I mean, he's late in his career. Obviously he's not going to go and beat MJF for the belt, but it would be fun to see him mixing it up with an MJF, mixing it up with an Omega and those guys, and see him in that way. I think would be cool.
You guys think if he comes into AEW, does he come in a babyface or a heel?
I want him as a heel.
Same.
Well, yeah, I was going to say he has to be a heel.
He could be a cool addition to the Don Callis family. Just saying.
Be what an off the wall pick that would work so well. And he's an underrated promo too, Dolph.
Oh, for sure, man.
Yeah.
Yeah, Dolph's, I mean, I feel like there was probably like a year and a half where the IC title just kept going back and forth between Seth Rollins and Dolph Ziggler. And to be perfectly honest, I never really got sick of it because those guys found a way to keep their promos fresh enough, and I could watch them wrestle each other once a day for the rest of my life.
Dude, remember that angle not too long ago where Goldberg kept coming down to the ring and whipping his ass, and he would walk back up the ramp, and Dolph's like, "Give me another one," you know. And he just kept taking jackhammers, and it went on, and everyone was like, "Oh, they just buried Dolph." They did bury Dolph, but that shows you what that guy. If you tell him, "Hey, Goldberg's going to give you 15 jackhammers," he's going to be like, "Okay, I'm going to sell those jackhammers like nobody can sell those jackhammers," and it's great.
Man. All right. Does anybody have it? Let me just say real quick. Matt Riddle's neck looks very long right there.
Very long. Yeah. It's a lot of neck.
That's
a lot
good
of neck health. Good neck health there.
He's neck strong, baby.
Neck strong.
All right. Anybody have any final thoughts before we move on to our round robin?
Nope.
All right. Let's get our round robin in.
Round robin.
Buy or sell. Edge debuts at WrestleDream.
I'm pushing all my chips on the table. He is coming to WrestleDream. I think Edge is signed up. I'm shooting my shot. Edge arrives in AEW at WrestleDream. Tony Khan recently said this is going to be, and I know that Tony Khan is the king of overhyping shit and not delivering on what he hypes up, but I'm saddling up to his hype train, and I'm saying this new era that starts at WrestleDream, it's happening, and I don't think I don't think Edge is the change, but I think he's going to be a major part of the next phase of AEW. Edge shows up. Yes, buy it.
I'm gonna go sell. There's no way in hell he's coming to AEW. The guy is WWE born and bred his whole life. That's all he ever wanted to be as a kid. He's got to come back and do everything he kind of wanted to again. If he's got anything else left he want to do, I'm sure he would stick around at WWE and handle it there.
I love it.
I'm going sell for now too, not because I don't think he's coming. I think he's coming to AEW. I don't think he's coming at WrestleDream. I think that's too soon. Chad, we were talking about this before we went on air. We're telling a lot of different stories right now, and a lot of them are only like quarter baked, half baked. Got a lot of time left in the oven. With the
Here's what I'm saying: they just pushed that TNT title fully onto Christian. Christian, he don't like dead dads. You know who never knew his dad? Edge. Writes itself, baby. Sign it up.
That's a good point. I guess it. I don't know. I feel like if Christian's going to keep the title, I feel like Christian's got to lose the title if he's going to go into a program with Edge or Adam Copeland or however he's coming in. I think he's coming. There's no way. I think WWE's giving him permission to do it. I think he asked just like RVD, but I don't know who is he going to be going by Adam Copeland. Yeah. What's he going to do? I don't think it's here though. I think it happens. I'm selling. I think it's going to be Full Gear or even Revolution. I think it's down the road a little bit still.
Man, I'm very much on the fence. I'll say buy. I buy that he's coming because I think if he's gonna come, I think it's gonna be soon. I don't think they sit and wait on it, man. Especially with this, everything announced with the possibility of streaming with Max and having a new, this big name. And I think he's 100% coming to AEW. I don't think
all I'll say, WrestleDream is October 1st. Edge's contract ends at the end of September. I wonder if that date was circled for that reason. Seems kind of weird to be where that's at. And also, as soon as I saw WWE had locked up Jade, I'm like, this is a tit for tat. hey, you took one of my people, I'm going to take one of your people. It's a wave of Tony Khan to show he still has influence to lure people away. Edge, Wrestle Dream, baby. Get ready.
You think you know me?
I'd be happy to be wrong. That'd be a hell of a debut, man. I mean,
absolutely.
I'm all in.
Awesome. Well, man, it's been great having you on. We appreciate you coming on. Let everybody know where they can find you.
That wrestling dude on everything, man.
Yeah, guys, go check him out. And that's Dude, DOOD. That wrestling dude. Some of the most deep cut wrestling videos you'll see on Instagram. You got to check it out. One of my favorite IGs for pro wrestling.
Thank you.
All right, guys.
Thanks for having me on, fellas. Thanks for having me on. Appreciate it.
We'll have to do it again, man. It was a lot of fun.
I'm all for it.
All right, guys, that is going to wrap us up for this edition of the Turnbuckle Debate. Make sure you guys are going to the turnbuckletavern.com for all of your tavern needs. Normally, this is Tom's spot to get his shit in. Colton, shine, brother.
All right, guys, you can catch me and Acefield Retro on Thursday nights after Impact live on YouTube for Brace for Impact, talking everything Impact Wrestling. Thursday night on YouTube, right after Impact, Friday in your earbuds on turnbuckletavern.com.
All right. With all that being said, court is dismissed.